Ever since ancient times, birds of prey have been an integral part of our forests, mountains, and lowlands. Eagles, falcons, kites, and owls are jewels in the crown of our natural heritage. Birds of prey rank among the dominant predators. There's no substitute for their function in natural ecosystems. They're sensitive indicators of the maiden state or the corruption of these systems. One of the jewels we can be proudest of is the lesser spotted eagle. In Slovakia, the lesser spotted eagle inhabits varied habitats with a mosaic of woods, meadows, pastures, fields, and marshes. Significant features in the eagle's feeding areas are solitary trees, spinneys, or large trees and woodland fringes, which the eagles tend to use as resting places or vantage points for watching their prey. More frequently, though, they seek out their prey while flying. They follow their quarry from a high level, then try to surprise it by flying in low. The eagle's relatively long legs also enable them to hunt when walking on the ground. The lesser spotted eagle's diet consists of smaller mammals, birds, amphibians, and reptiles, but also larger insects, mollusks, and other invertebrates. The most frequent prey is the common vole, which forms up to 70% of the bird's food intake. For this reason, lesser spotted eagles play a significant role in the biological protection of agricultural land. Lesser spotted eagles are among the furthest traveling raptors of all. Their migration to wintering areas in Central and Southern Africa takes them on a lengthy round trip, covering as much as 20,000 kilometers. These eagles nest in the forests of central and eastern Slovakia. For the last 15 years, the breeding population has shown a downward trend, with a recorded drop in numbers of as much as 23%. Currently, there are between 600 and 800 pairs nesting in this country, while in Europe as a whole, the breeding population amounts to 20 to 25,000 pairs. They fly in from their wintering grounds in Africa to their breeding areas in Slovakia, usually in the first half of April, just a little later than the white storks. The eagles occupy their breeding territories immediately after flying in and protect them from other visitors. During the spring, they show off their courting flights with aerial displays. They swoop at their partners and chase each other, calling intensively throughout. Lesser spotted eagles occupy the same nests every year, or they randomly choose one out of several nests in their territory. Sometimes they take over the nests of other raptors. Mating can take place several times a day, always in the vicinity of the nest. Copulation lasts from 10 to 20 seconds. Lesser spotted eagles form lifelong pairs. The bond between the partners is very intense. In most cases, when a bird changes its partner, it's due to the death of the other individual. In late April or early May, the female usually lays 2 eggs in the interval of 3 to 4 days. In rare cases, she lays just 1 egg. She starts sitting on the clutch as soon as she's laid the first egg. The incubation period lasts around 40 days. The first chick hatches 3 to 4 days earlier than the second, making it larger and clearly more capable of life than the younger one, and it's often more aggressive than its sibling. It continually attacks and wounds the younger one, pushing it to the edge of the nest and preventing it from getting food. The younger chick usually starves or falls out of the nest within a few days. This biological phenomenon is very characteristic of the lesser spotted eagle, and it's called Cainism, derived from the biblical story of Cain murdering his brother Abel. As a general rule then, just 1 young eagle succeeds in flying from each nest. The adults take care of their young in the nest for around 2 months. The young usually leave the nest in late July or early August, but they remain in the vicinity of the nest for a further 30 to 50 days with their parents still present, learning to fly and hunt. During this time, the parents continue feeding them. The existence of lesser spotted eagles, similarly to all living creatures, is influenced by their environment through the interaction of various factors. One of the eagle's fundamental requirements is an environment providing enough food. The presence of meadows, pastures, and wetlands creates favorable conditions for a sufficiency of various kinds of their prey. For nesting, they need undisturbed old woodland with many large trees, which provide them with suitable locations and material for rebuilding their nests. If the living conditions aren't favorable, this has a negative impact on their survival, reproduction, and ultimately on the abundance and density of their population. Negative influence of the environment sometimes manifests itself in various illnesses among the eagles. These can be in the form of leg defects in the young, such as those possibly caused by contamination of the parents' bodies with toxic chemicals. The breeding success of lesser spotted eagles is also adversely affected by weather extremes like violent storms. Other threats to the young include small beasts of prey, other raptors, and especially golden eagles. These are a source of significant interspecific competition for the lesser spotted eagles of Slovakia. In the last few years, freak windstorms have caused young eagles to fall from their nests, and nests themselves have been damaged or even whole breeding habitats destroyed. Extensive areas can be impacted in this way. The influence of climatic changes has been multiplied by inappropriate forestry activity. This is the greatest threat that human beings represent for the eagle's nesting breeding population, not only in Slovakia, but in Europe as a whole. Most of the forests which the lesser spotted eagles nest in are maintained primarily for timber production. This involves the use of forest management approaches that enable high levels of timber production to be achieved in a short time. The result of this human activity, however, is that raptors are disturbed during the breeding period. Forest structure is disrupted, and old trees suitable for nesting are removed. Another consequence is excessive soil erosion and fragmentation of woodlands by the creation of logging tracts. In this way, recent forest management has had a negative effect on biodiversity as a whole, and it is unsustainable in the long term. Solitary wild pear, apple, and cherry trees are disappearing from the landscape, the kind which were regularly planted out by our forefathers and provided grazing animals with shade from strong sunshine or shelter from heavy rain. Human activities such as excessive usage of artificial fertilizers and chemical preparations, construction on agricultural land, growing energy crops like oilseed rape, maize, or sunflowers over very extensive areas are all further threats to the breeding population of the lesser spotted eagle, because they lead to the impairment or loss of feeding habitats. A key direct negative impact on the lesser spotted eagle population stems from illegal shooting of eagles during migration to and from their wintering areas in Africa. Illegal shooting is more common in countries like Turkey, Syria, and Lebanon, but isolated cases of shooting eagles in the nesting season have also been recorded in Slovakia. The eagle's feeding territories are also crisscrossed with a spider's web of power lines. The pylons of the 22 kilovolt lines are called pylons of death, frequently causing injury or death to birds, including raptors, as a result of electric shocks. On the one hand, it is people who pursue various economic, often illegal activities which injure and kill birds of prey and evidently damage the environment which these magnificent creatures live in. On the other hand, it is people again who try to help animals in various ways and carry out all sorts of conservation measures to that very end. One of these conservation measures is to set up time and space restrictions on forestry and other human activities in the vicinity of nests through the declaration of buffer zones. The aim is to ensure undisturbed nesting as well as long-term preservation of the breeding habitat. In order to improve nesting opportunities, artificial nests are being installed in the eagle's territories. In this way, the loss of or damage to natural nests through timber cutting or windstorms is compensated. Similarly, existing nests damaged by gales, snowfall, or violent storms are being repaired and stabilized. Power distribution companies are insulating pylons on 22 kilovolt power lines in the eagles' feeding territories with suitable technical features that help to prevent injury and death of birds from electric shocks. One innovation that has proved very effective is the fitting of plastic console barriers. These allow birds to settle safely on electric pylons, and field observations confirm that they are almost 100% effective. A financially more demanding, but in the long term more effective technical solution is the replacement of horizontal consoles with special ones called anti-bird. They enable the power conductors to be fixed up in a way that prevents birds settling in dangerous places on the pylons. Injured, weakened, or otherwise indisposed animals, including lesser spotted eagles, are placed in rescue and recovery centers. Bird patients are given appropriate veterinary treatment and expert care for a sufficiently long period to enable them to recover. Once they've regained their health and strength, most of these patients are returned to the wild. Apart from its primary function of animal rescue, the Rescue Center at Zazriva also provides environmental education sessions in its eco-center. Here visitors can learn about nature conservation in general, but also find out, for example, how to give animals first aid. The aim is to increase the probability that injured animals will be brought to the Rescue Center in time, and there will be a better chance of healing them. It's very important to keep the public informed about nature conservation activities. Regular meetings with local mayors, foresters, farmers, and hunters are vital because their activities have significant impact on the quality of habitat. At these meetings, they learn about the important role of raptors in the countryside and about their biology. Agro-consultancy is an important topic here, focusing on interest groups to show the benefits of using existing stimulatory and compensatory mechanisms to support eagle-friendly agriculture and forest management. These groups can contribute to nature conservation and biodiversity in their own way. The environmental measures which are part of the Rural Development Program of the Slovak Republic are very important in this respect. It's no less important to focus on environmental education in schools, especially elementary and secondary schools. Working with children requires a high standard of expertise and creativity to get these young students interested in the topic and make sure that they remember as much as possible from these lessons. Who knows, maybe one or two of today's pupils could grow up to be tomorrow's ecologists, botanists, zoologists, or even ornithologists. One of the preconditions for effective protection of the lesser spotted eagle in Slovakia is good international cooperation. It's important that experts from various countries exchange the latest research and experience concerning appropriate ways of protecting raptors. This way we can help eliminate threats, not only in parts of Europe and Asia where these eagles have their nesting time, but also in other places along their migration routes and in their wintering grounds in Africa. An example of this kind of cooperation is the International Conference on the Conservation of the Lesser Spotted Eagle, which was held in September 2014 at Košice-Bela in eastern Slovakia, bringing together more than 50 ornithologists from 14 countries and representatives of power distribution companies in Slovakia. This conference contributed significantly in updating the Lesser Spotted Eagle Recovery Plan. From 2011 to 2015, conservation activities have been carried out within the project called Conservation of Aquila pomerina in Slovakia, co-financed by the European Union through its financial instrument for the environment, LIFE program, and Ministry of the Environment of the Slovak Republic. The project was implemented by the Raptor Protection of Slovakia and the three power companies, Východoslovenská energetika Holding, Stredoslovenská energetika, and Stredoslovenská energetika Distribúcia. This project has been implemented in 8 special protection areas, which are parts of the European network of protected areas called Natura 2000. These areas are designated for the protection of endangered bird species. In Slovakia, a total of 12 special protection areas have been designated to preserve the lesser spotted eagle. Commercial activities are not prohibited in these areas, but in some cases they need to be guided towards creating space and conditions in which threatened bird species can exist side by side with people. So how can we protect the lesser spotted eagle together? First of all, we can take care of the meadow and pasture landscape, ensuring that the meadows are mowed at times which are suitable not only for people but for nature as well. We can restock the pastures with flocks of Cigaya and Wallachian sheep and herds of Slovak Pinzgau or spotted cattle to stop the pastures from growing over. We can grow clover and lucerne or kinds of grass that support livestock rearing. In this way, we can restore conditions for biodiversity, as well as employment for people in the less developed regions of Slovakia. We can try to ensure that forest management activities tend towards restoring the natural structure and integrity of the forests. When regenerating the forests, we should use site-specific tree species and apply more sensitive forest management practices, for example, selective cutting. Logging should be done outside the eagle's breeding period to give them a chance to rear chicks. The forests will gradually become more resistant to storms and gales, which are otherwise going to cause increasingly extensive devastation and flooding. There is currently frequent talk of sustainable development. This concept has also taken hold in policies of forest management, agriculture, and other sectors. The idea of sustainability rests on 3 pillars: economic, social, and environmental. But it is the last one, in fact, that is so often forgotten. The environmental pillar creates conditions for a healthy environment. It enables us to have a landscape that is not ruined by deforestation and soil erosion, and countryside without waste tips, with clean rivers and free of flooding. It gives us the possibility of growing healthy foodstuffs, of drinking pure, uncontaminated water, of enjoying the beauty of flowers and the abundance of wildlife. For this, nature will reward us by providing ecosystem services, and in the long run, people will prosper both economically and socially. Let's try to see the lesser spotted eagle not just as an isolated species, but as an umbrella species we should preserve in order to protect other kinds of animals and plants as well. The eagle becomes an instrument for preserving the diversity of life and the natural richness which belongs to all of us.